Hello, everyone. It's Michael Jacob with Unleashing Intuition Secrets, joined today by Jay Campbell. We're still waiting for Laura Eisenhower to join us. Hopefully, she'll be able to come in. And until then, we're just going to go ahead and kick it. Hello, everyone. It's Michael. So, Jay, we were listening to some of the, we were just talking about listening to some of Laura's recent videos, and they were pretty outstanding. You had some like talking points on that. You want to shoot one of those out there, and we'll kind of wrap on it a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely, Michael. And obviously it's great to see you, brother. At the end of the show, you and I will talk about some stuff that we're going to do together in the future, which is going to be absolutely amazing.
Absolutely.
To everybody out there, we appreciate you guys. Again, as I always say, without you guys, there would not be me and Michael. Hopefully Laura will join us. Laura is going through some personal nonsense in her life right now. So if she doesn't, we promise to bring her back on. But yeah, as Michael said, I got some really sick talking points that came about from Laura's last broadcast specifically. I know she just did another one on Friday, but this one was from Thursday night. I think it was published Friday morning. So actually just a day ago, but she was talking to Aurora. And I think it's a Phoenix Aurora or whatever, but we'll link to her link and the video that they did. But she really, really put a lot of stuff together. So I think the first talking point, Michael, that we'll hit is, because Aurora had said there were two timelines, and you obviously talk about the timelines with Project Looking Glass. We're all talking about timeline wars. Mm-hmm. But so she said that there's an organic timeline, which is obviously where all of us as human love light souls want to go. And then there's the inorganic timeline, which is what these archontic reptilian consciousness, demonic beings, that have essentially impersonated, if not inhabited, so many blue checks or so many people that are quote unquote the B supporters, right? And by the way, just so you and I don't get flagged by the YouTube algorithm, because it's really going crazy right now, we'll just say B supporters and T supporters. If you want to say, if you want to say the other word, I'm fine with it. You know me, but just to say that to everybody. But so the first point is, for Michael, where are we now, in your opinion, with your remote viewing and what you're seeing on the organic and inorganic timelines? And how, one of the questions obviously down the road is like, where is this going with Trump and the court system and what his other options are? But where do you see things at right now? And where are you seeing this going over the next, say, 2 to 12 months?
Well, it's really cool. We talked about this months ago, you and I, Jay. How I saw the election wasn't going to be, something's wrong with election. And 2 months out, I see a dark tunnel we're going through. So we're basically in that. So the inorganic is basically playing out a little bit right now. And that is something we have evidently agreed to, because Biden possibly becoming president. He's been pretty much, elected by the news media. So we've allowed that to happen. We're, a lot of us, I say 80, maybe a little bit more % of us are extremely beautiful, good souls. And we want to work with other souls, sometimes to our detriment, as we're seeing. And we eventually have to call it. We have to say enough is enough. So that is an inorganic timeline that they talked about. Is very, very brilliant. And I don't see that playing out for the majority of us further down the road. So I do see, I've always seen Trump at the end of this on the January 21st, he's inaugurated. It's going to happen. It's done.
So do you think it's going to go through the courts? I mean, I know we're going to talk about this at various points of the show, because as you know, the health ranger, Mike Adams, who's blocked, everywhere. You always know the people that can't be allowed to say anything anywhere, how important their information is. But he put up a video, as I sent you yesterday, which was phenomenal, that talks about all the different ways that Trump can actually reclaim the presidency. And it doesn't just have to go through the court system, right? Because the states have basically been seditious and treasonous in so many different ways. And so through the Insurrection Act and other things, and I even saw, Michael, which was mind-blowing, is he can actually nullify the Electoral College votes from California, because we know that California is sided with the Chinese. He can prove, they already have evidence. So there's numerous ways to get there. But in your opinion right now, how is it going to happen?
I think that it's a possibility that, we have talked about Nasara Jassara and how there's that 120 days before a new election. Trump signed an executive order on November 2nd, which basically sounds like it could have been the inauguration of that Jassara Nasara. So we might actually be in that right now. So that's a possibility. We'll see how that plays out. So the good timeline is that, most of us are keeping ourselves in the love vibration, which is absolutely important going forward. Those of us that are not in that vibration don't go all the way to this new timeline. So they're creating a negative timeline that, we talked about, demonic, archonic beings that are infiltrated. They've allowed themselves to be infiltrated. They're working as demonic sources. I have seen that there are more Archon demonic forces coming into the world right now than has ever been here. So they're really working hard to overcome the world. So when I was looking, so I have a parallel life in the secret space program where I have access, and I actually work with looking glass technology. So when I contact that side of me and ask, I can actually ask it to look. So it's looking. I've looked at several things. We have talked about possibility of EMP. I don't see that in our timeline. So that any 9/11, Civil War, EMP attack, not happening in our timeline.
That's awesome.
As we move forward, as we hold this vibration, we influence, what happens. So if we had to come into this election with more light energy than we are starting to display right now, because more and more people are waking up,
Right.
And if we'd come into it, this would not have transpired. So this is something that Hillary Clinton did. I've talked about how being in the CIA, now I can talk about it because I had General McInerney basically came out and he talked about the Dominion software and stuff like that. I saw elections all around the world being manipulated by CIA software, all around the world. So I didn't realize they were doing it here, but it was kind of like, I used to see we were manipulating the press overseas. I'm like, oh, it's so good that they're not doing that in our country. And then I started to see it. And I was like, oh no. So then with Hillary's election, I saw that they had used that software here, but the vote had been so overwhelmingly, it was probably 70% or so of Americans actually voted for Trump.
It
was overwhelming. So
this might have even been 80%. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. This time it's 80%. So even more are voting. So that gives you a nice little idea. 10% more people coming into the higher consciousness realms.
Right.
That is tremendous.
Yeah, exactly.
That is tremendous. And I believe that we're going to pull a few more percentage off over the next several months. So that's fantastic. I mean, we couldn't have hoped for something better. And I think that this delay in actually, because a lot of people were saying, why aren't there arrests and stuff like that?
Right, of course.
How about this? How about in 5D, there is no such thing. Do you want to stick around here in 3D and go through the rest and all that prosecution stuff? Or do you want to go to 5D? You make the choice. So could be some of the things that we're looking at right now. So keep that in the back of your mind. Don't get hooked on this negativity of the arrests and stuff like that. They're probably going to happen. But if that possibility were to come in, that we don't have to go through arrest, let that play out. I want to go higher consciousness.
Yeah.
So all the way back in Atlantean times, we were hijacked. We were 5D back then.
Right.
And they pulled us down into 3D. So this time we're not going to let them do it. So reincarnation cycles, big waves of reincarnation cycles. Basically the same players are in action right now that were in action back then when Atlantis, was collapsed into 3D.
That's exactly right. And we have a lot of that we'll talk about. We have a lot of talking points. You guys, obviously, please, if you're expecting Laura Eisenhower to show up on the show, I don't think at this point that she is. She's having some issues, personal stuff right now. She's going through like a relationship issue. So she will join me and Michael eventually at some point, if not today. But please, obviously, hold the light and continue to watch the show because we have some amazing talking points picking up off of Laura's last show and, of course, Michael's show yesterday. Let me ask you about the Kraken, Sidney Powell.
Oh, yeah.
Trump's legal team, the head of Trump's legal team. I mean, again, it's all out there for those people that have eyes to see and ears to hear. I mean, they're telling you that Trump has been lying in wait since 2018 for this. They knew that this is what they were going to do. So Michael, I got to ask you, and you've said this and we've talked about this. Could this really be just the script running right now? And it's again designed to get as many sheep / sleepers / unawakened people to actually open their eyes. And as you said, move into the higher vibrational frequency, because they're telling you. I mean, you saw the video this morning. Maria Bartiromo interviewed her and they're like, you don't understand. We have everything. This goes back 2 years. So it's like they're letting us know, meaning us, we see it, we're wide awake, right? But the people who can't see this, again, in dissonance, is that what it's really being designed right now, Michael, just to awaken as many people as possible before we have the split, the timeline split?
Yeah, there's, back in 2016, they had such an overwhelming number of people that they thought that the vote flipping would work in their program, They didn't realize how many people were going to come in and vote. So this time they had plan B just in case, and that was the mail-in ballots. So they stopped the counting in some of these swing states. And then, they threw the votes 30 in the morning, they brought in the trucks with all the manipulated ballots and then started running them through, and with no GOP observers. Right. So it's obvious. I mean, anyone that has eyes to see, the press is all 99.9%
in on it.
Deep state, this dark timeline. They're trying to force us into a dark timeline. There's only like we talk about, there's only 1% of extremely negative souls that are manipulating consciousness and moving us into this dark timeline, and maybe 19%, maybe less now, that are on board with that. But they're the shouters. They're the loud ones. The squeaky wheel gets the grease, right? So these guys are getting all the attention, but there's a good chunk of us, the majority of the world is not on board with this at all. Right. They're sweating it. So yeah, the lawsuits, I think they're lined up. We're going to get, and remember, she said she dropped the military intelligence needs to get involved. So we just saw how they took away Secretary of Defense. So I said long ago, this guy's a deep stater. He needs to go bye-bye. So he's bye-bye now. And now we have, for the first time ever, a special forces guy at the very top. Right. So what just happened? Special forces guys just went and raided in Frankfurt, Germany, and got the servers with all the information that we're talking about right now. So they're, manipulating it through Spain. It goes into Germany where the servers are. They basically went in, got those servers. I think special forces have been taking out some of the leadership already in Antifa and BLM in the big cities. So, but there's still tons of those guys. I just saw one program where a guy had a former Black Lives Matter guy, and he said he threw on his old clothes and went in, infiltrated just recently, and he said there's a lot more now. Right. A lot more, and they're more negative. So that's not a good sign.
Well, let me ask you about that, because, yesterday with the Million Man March, and there was obviously way more than 1 million people that showed up in DC, and I'm sure they're still there now. I'm attempting to not pay attention to it. Just as you said, I'm focusing on fifth dimension. I don't want to be drawn into the fight of the vibration, which, I have mad respect for the people that went there and that are holding the line and, challenging the demonic energy that is coming out of the, Luciferian forces, which is obviously BLM and Antifa and all that stuff. And, you saw them, last night, they jumped families, at night. They're total losers. They're cowards, whatever. We could sit here and talk shit about them, but it is what it is. Do you think that Trump not calling in the military, last night, because obviously the police again are just observing, again, and I understand, right? We don't want crossfire. We don't want, people that become casualties. As you've talked about it many times on podcasts, you can't shoot, you can't open up, because then innocent human, American bystanders and civilians can be shot. But do you think that Trump is still playing a very calculated game with not sending in troops to stop, them, meaning, because they are obviously, Michael, hostile insurgents, right? They are essentially terrorists within the U.S. borders, correct?
Yeah. So we've been saying that for a while. I think, Antifa has been labeled as terrorist organization.
Right.
Why?
Right.
Aren't they then wrapped up? It's basically like this awakening process that we're talking about. and they have dibs on all these guys, and they're ready to move on them when they start to get stupid, which is going to come.
Right.
It will come once the election is called in the courts and so forth for Trump. Then they're going to spring these guys. So that's all been set up. We've been talking about that for months. They're, in the big cities and so forth. Big cities could be, very tragically wastelands.
Yeah.
These Democrat, governors and mayors and so forth, basically almost wall up their cities and try and make a last stand. Military is going to have to go in and like crush that. So that's not going to be pretty. So if you see that start to happen, we have been talking about get out of the big cities. A lot of people have been responding. If you're still in the big cities and you're still confused about what you should do, you should really ask yourself. And some big cities are going to be good. If you're in a very strong red state, very strong red city, and there's not been any, Antifa, BLM rioting or anything like that, I think you're probably going to be pretty good. But I'm talking about pretty much every big city in California, Texas, not Texas, but New York. We could go on and on, but
Seattle, Portland,
all the way up to Seattle, all the way up the left coast. So there's probably going to be some real problems in all those cities. We've already seen it. So it's not a stretch to think that once Biden doesn't get the presidency, that things are going to pop pretty hard because they've already been.
So let's talk about that. That's kind of the next talking point. The next talking point is, and again, this is credit to Aurora. I think it's Phoenix Aurora. She has a YouTube channel. I tweeted her out her Twitter handle early this morning. I'll post it in the chat if you guys don't know who this is. You got to watch this video that she did with Laura Eisenhower on Friday. It's phenomenal. She is like a QHHT practitioner, and so she's like a big Dolores Cannon disciple. She definitely reads, the inner awareness of reality, which obviously is the Akashic records, or people know about that stuff. But her awareness and insight with Laura was phenomenal. Both Michael and I observed it and we're like, wow, she was tying a lot of stuff together. But what she said, and this is what I want Michael to comment on, was that you are witnessing right now T supporters versus B supporters, Trump, Biden, as basically human souls of love and light versus reptilian souls, which have been either are reptilian souls, hiding in human bodies, or have been, were human souls, but have been taken over by this archontic/AI infestation that's come into this timeline. And so that's what we're seeing. And again, I'll summarize this. If people doubt this, you're watching this right now and you think I'm crazy. all you have to do is watch the live feeds from the last 24 hours on AON. What is it? ON, the ON network. And then there's some other networks that actually are unfiltered and not scandalous from the mainstream. And you can see the energy of the Black Lives Matter, Antifa, Biden supporters versus the Trump supporters. And it literally is love, light versus demons. Like the things they say, their eyes, their energy. So she translated this so beautifully. And again, credit to her, but she's basically saying this is literally human love, light souls versus reptilian conscious or AI infected beings, which a lot of the Biden supporters are. They're brainwashed. They're under this like hypnotic frequency. Again, this low vibrational frequency. But talk about that, Michael, is how will the people that are under that, demonic or whatever you want to call it, archontic infection, can they come out of it?
Oh yeah, definitely they can come out of it. There's been so much awakening since this COVID lie happened. Last night, somebody shared with me that they knew about this in Canada in October, that COVID was coming and how they were going to respond to it and so forth. So it's a big, as we know, Canada is heavily manipulated and controlled by China.
Yep.
And we're going to see, and that's where the software, Dominion software, comes from, and so lots of problems up in Canada,
right?
And which is not against the people there, because I have, like I talked about, I have lots of friends up there, lots of beautiful people in Canada. It's your government has been infiltrated and basically taken over, almost like what they're trying to do here in America. So other places, you see New Zealand, you see Australia, you see country after country that's pretty much been completely infiltrated and taken over by Archon energies and so forth. And they attract, some negative types. So people that aren't very strong in their development. So it takes a lot of, as we know, it takes a lot of lifetimes of development, going through hard cycles, personal development, inner development in this life, to get to the point where you can, harness and start to recognize negative energies, not let them come into your sphere. So when, like you're saying, you're staying away from the news, which is important because the news is heavily infiltrated by Archon energy, and they are blasting, that Archon energy in a hypnotic wave after wave after wave of people that are glued to the news, here in America, BBC, all over the world, and it's dark magic. So they're basically putting spells on people, and those spells can be broken with the correct amount of information for some people. For other people, being in that love vibration, if you're in that love vibration and you're around those people, you can have an effect on them. So when you have these people attack you so negatively, they can really bring you down and stuff like that. You have to learn how to, keep your energies high. And she even talked about how when you go to bed, this is important too.
We're going to get to that.
Yeah, you have to keep your energies high. And actually, this is what I learned really well in combat zones, because there's a lot of negative, dark, demonic, archonic energies, combat zones. You guys can obviously imagine. I would always go to bed, and every time I got up, I would seal myself in a love bubble, so I couldn't be, penetrative. And if something were going on that would affect us, like maybe there's going to be an attack on our compound or house or wherever we're living, I would get alerted. So it would reach out that much. So eventually I got to the point where not only was I doing protection, but I was putting it out and protecting whole cities. So we all have these potentials. We all have the ability to, influence and cause positive change. So this positive organic timeline is something that will happen, and it will happen for many, but you have to be on this very high vibrational, love centered, heart centered chakra, spinning that vortex nice and smooth, got it going good. It's going to spin you into that 5-dimensional quantum realm. So that's what we're going to see going forward. So I see that coming in January, beginning on a very fast level, maybe even, that we keep seeing that like blast of light that's going to come in. That's already coming in. The light is already increasing. That's why so many people are starting to wake up now.
So to that point, I did an amazing podcast yesterday that hasn't broken with Matt LaCroix and Billy Carson, Forbidden News. And it was absolutely amazing. We talked about the light, the cosmic energy, where we are in the galactic center right now. And this is really important, Michael. And I don't want to rabbit hole, but you just brought it up. The reason that people like us who are gravitating towards the side of the light, again, the T side, versus the people that are on the B side, who gravitate towards hatred and anger and vitriol and, self-hatred. And again, the victimhood vibration, again, that lower red and orange chakra energy, is because when you have a broken, when your heart, you said it, the heart center is blocked or occluded, and you are all in the left brain and you are all in the intellectual side of things, schmiant, science, prove it to me, show it to me, right? You don't have any heart-based awareness or knowing. You can't handle that energy, Michael. That energy that is now coming in, blasting every single one of us, is literally making you insane. And so again, I challenge everyone watching this, and we have over 1,300 people watching live. And I have a point about that from somebody who works for YouTube, who told me this 3 days ago, which I haven't even told you yet right now, what that actually means. They go crazy. And again, look into the eyes of blue check people. Look at how angry and dissonant they are. They want to kill. They're screaming about, I wish your mother should have aborted you. I mean, they're saying things that only a shrill, shrieking, demonic being would say. And again, Many of them are inhabited, but the ones that aren't, they have such blocked hearts that they can't handle this new energy that's coming in from the cosmos, like the Mayans talked about. And so they're going insane, Michael. And that's where we're at. You either are feeling amazing right now, or you feel angry and, again, self-loathing, and you want to take everybody out. It's not my fault. Can you talk about that for a second?
Yeah, there's a lot. Unfortunately, there's still a lot of people that are in that, 20% of the people throughout the world. That's, hundreds of millions of people that are still demonically possessed and caught in that negativity. So if you're of the light, obviously you're not going to like attack somebody and scream and yell and, threaten them and so forth. That's ridiculous to me. So you have to learn how to just like, let that slide off of you. For me, it's easy because I've been in combat. If you're not trying to kill me, I'm like, whatever, oh, you're negative, delete, so
yeah, exactly.
It doesn't affect me. Sometimes, I will get wrapped up and try and help somebody awaken. And it's not, when it turns into something, I see, oh, you're hooking me, you're trying to be nice and pull me in and like cut my head off. It's like, oh, that's kind of frustrating. So, you have to learn just to where to put your energy. You put your energy with good people like us, everyone that's here right now, incredibly beautiful, souls. And those of you, I see some of you making still comments about when's Laura coming. Laura is, having some issues. So send her some love. She will join us in the future. So just send her some love, energy. She needs that right now. And hopefully she can get through her little, her problems right now. So anyway, those of us that are very empathic. So I used to be super empathic. When things didn't go right and people got angry, I felt like it was my responsibility. It was like, what did I felt bad because I felt maybe I did something wrong, and then I got to the point where I started to look at that from a distance and looked at it and was like, being sympathetic, vibrating with that negativity,
pulling it into your
that's
field.
what a lot of people teach us to do. That's not good.
No,
that's not good. I can have compassion. I'm like, oh, you're hurting because, you have, some issues with friends or relatives, or, the news agency, said that you should support Biden. You don't agree with that. And it really makes you sad and miserable. You got to learn how to just look at that and go, that's not me, but anyone that's in that vibration, I'm going to try and help you overcome that, but I'm not going to be there with you. I'm not going to vibrate there. I'm my higher vibration, my love vibration, when it comes in proximity of you, can help bring you up. And that's what I want. I don't want to sympathize. I don't want to get sympathetically, vibrating in that lower negative energy. So a lot of people want to hook us there because that's part of that demonic spell that they're under, and they want to like just pull us in there and
the crabs in a bucket.
Because they get jollies out of that, they love, they love making you angry and, sad like they are and, hurting and so forth. So don't go there.
It's a really good point. Also, having a big heart like I had, and still do, but in my life, like you said, I've learned to be a neutral observer, right? Again, like just observe it from afar. Excellent. Don't label it, how can I learn from this? That's interesting. Instead of like, like you said, thinking, oh my God, I've got to take care of this person or these people or whatever. And then, like you said, you're entangling with their wave frequency and you're pulling in the same pain energy and the same low vibration, usually victimhood, or, it's not my fault, right into your field, dude. And then it's literally right in the middle of you. And then you're drained. And again, the bigger picture for everyone listening is that, and you say this all the time, is like, this is how they feed. The higher demonic energy, reptilian consciousness, the archontic energy, they literally desire to have the entire planetary field full of people in victimhood, right? Every time there's a major event, right? Like imagine how much they fed when Kobe Bryant died. Imagine how much they fed when Avicii died, when all these major figures that influence hundreds of millions of people around the world die, you know, tragically, they kill themselves, right? Or some crazy accident. I mean, a lot of the times they're ritual sacrifices, but you cannot bring your vibration, personal, which is all you control, into that level. And as Michael said, just neutrally observe and be a person of love. Send them love from afar. Don't, you know, as David Icke say, don't mingle in that wave field, because then you just bring that energy right onto your being. Let me ask you this question, because the next point is probably one of the biggest points that we could talk about. Well, let's just get into it, dude. So the vaccination. So Aurora, and we'll talk about how this leads to the Bill Gates thing, which is ultimately the biggest play of the world now, right? In the 3D timeline. But Aurora talked about with Laura, and she did this very elegantly, and she just lit up all my chakras and blew my brain out when I was doing cardio when I listened to that yesterday. But she said that parents have unwittingly and unknowingly and even willfully ignorantly given consent by allowing their children to be vaccinated. Now, obviously, the brainwash with vaccinations is world over. It's everywhere. It's every country. And as you know, Michael, we've talked about it on previous shows, the Rockefeller family created the vaccination program. The entire vaccine industry is built on false science, fake, fraudulent studies and data. And so, unfortunately, as we all know, in the last 25 years, the vaccination program is ramped up. I mean, they're injecting all sorts of virulent particles and adjuvants into babies, right? And parents are willfully consenting to it because, again, you're brainwashed by medical science and doctors that it's fine and that this gives immunity, and it's total BS. But you know what she said was mind-blowing. And she said every single time you as a parent allow your child to be vaccinated, you allow these AI beings, these reptilian conscious beings, to inject consciousness suppressing adjuvants into your child's central nervous system. And then people wonder why there's so many young people out there right now vibrating in victimhood, Michael. And again, I don't want to say it's not their fault. I mean, but a lot of times it hasn't been. Their parents chose this. So again, if you're a parent and you're watching this right now, start to think about what you're doing and opt out. It's literally that important. But Michael, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, there's definitely a movement to insert consciousness that's of a negative and controlling factor into our bodies. So their technology has gotten to the point where they can do that, and that will pretty much take us over. You know, those of us that are still in the light, that will like reduce our abilities to vibrate in that vibration tremendously.
So how important is it then to not allow for people like me and you to tell people that they cannot consider the Bill Gates vaccine, the COVID vaccine, whatever this nonsense is? We both know it's literally designed to shut us down consciously forever, to take out the love light.
Yeah, I mean, there's evidence that even Trump is like playing them with the Pfizer vaccine, because Pfizer came out and said they're not part of like the bigger picture of, you know, helping, you know, Trump get this vaccine out. And he said, that's unfortunate that they said that. And it's going to be interesting because what did the CEO of Pfizer do? He sold most of his stock. If you're going to have a vaccine that's about to blow up and probably make your company one of the richest companies in the world, why would you sell your stock? So pay attention to those kinds of things, you know, because we can't spell out everything. So, I mean, even when just for simplicity, now sometimes I make these mistakes myself, but, you know, I posted on Facebook that this was going to be 2 PST, that Pacific Standard Time, and lots of people were coming in. What is that, Mountain or Pacific? Right. Like, oh, okay, little learning time for you. So, you know, there's a lot of people that have to be led by the hand. That's not going to happen in the future. You know, if you can't critically think on a very basic level, you might not survive.
I get it.
Frankly,
I agree with that.
We're moving into a zone where things are going to get rough, very rough. And if you can't move on a dime, like I've learned how to do in a combat zone, my thinking, I can shift like that. I can have like this huge plan. I've been in combat so much that we had this like elaborate plan of what we're going to do when we go in, and things change right as we're starting to come in, and we have to shift, and we have to learn how to just go on the flow. So that's the way everything's going to be. And that's a quantum consciousness that fortunately I learned when I was in the SEAL team. So this is something I'm very adept at. You know, I can move in these environments and like, it doesn't faze me. But most people are like, but I thought you said, that's gone. You know, that old way is gone. You know, the old way of how we voted, that's gone. The old way of how, you know, these corporations and governments and so forth, they can move in and control us like they couldn't do before. So our freedoms are gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we have to move into these new frequencies. It's all gone, guys.
Beautiful, man. So
I said this months and months ago, the old way of the way we did things is gone forever.
It is. It is. It is. And for everybody watching, first off, love all of you beautiful souls. 1,500, almost 1,600 people, it looks like. If you guys have not hit the thumbs up button for our stream, please do. And also, if you're watching this right now and you know other awake and aware people, please share this. You know, just click on the share button, put it on your Twitter feed, put it on your Facebook feed, put it on your IG feed. Let more and more souls come into this energy and feel what Michael and I are talking about, because it's so important. I mean, again, I can't stress it enough. We have to get more of you to become more of everyone else. It's literally that simple. We cannot create the organic, positive, love light timeline if everyone doesn't wake up. And there's so many people in fear. Michael, I want to talk about this. I want you to address this. How many of our friends and family do we know right now who are like us, but still watching that hypnotic frequency, like Fox or any of the mainstream that they get their news from, even CNBC, financial news, right? All they talk about on financial news is the vaccine. We got to get the vaccine so we can get the markets, you know. And it's like, it drives me nuts, you know, and I don't want to mention my family, but I have so many members of my family who are still like, oh, dude, give up. Trump's not going to win. He lost. You know, they put their head down. And it's so important that you cannot give up. You have to have a mindset that the good, the light is going to win. And it blows my mind. And, you know, I'll stress it and you talk about it, but stop watching mainstream news. Start plugging into Michael Jacob, to Jay Campbell, to thousands of other people that are the alternative voices that are telling you really what is happening. Because listening to the nonsense is just further entraining you. And it's entraining your networks and your social circles. Stop watching it. Check out, tune it out. Like I said, Michael, your thoughts on that. But what, for people that continue to watch the news, what do you tell them?
You know, I don't have a lot of family members that I can't even think of anybody that I know of that's not, you know, on board with this, really. I've just been, you know, on this path for so long.
It's awesome.
If I dig really deep, maybe I can find a few, but I don't know of anybody anymore. Most of my friends are all on board with this.
Beautiful.
So I've just attracted to me and been very clean in my life, you know, who my inner circle is. So I really can't go too far out and find anybody that's still on board. So that's why, to me, I'm like, who voted for Biden? But we know that people did. Now, one thing that was very beautiful that she pointed out with Laura Eisenhower is that, and I've had many friends tell me that they have like girlfriends, wives, whatever, that were, you know, left-leaning, and they were having these discussions, you know, heated discussions on who they should vote for and so forth. And, you know, the T team was basically saying, hey, you know, you're basically voting for demonic, you know, forces if you vote for, you know, B. And so they have an argument. And what do? In that anger, they went and voted for B.
Right.
So you gave him that energy. So everyone that voted over there, and I know I used to have friends that are in the, you know, book industry, beautiful people, that have gone that way. And
Sure.
I just don't associate it with them anymore. But I know they're over there going, I'm like, wow.
Right.
So close that door, but they gave all that energy to Biden. Think about that. Here we are, love and light, love energy, heart paced, we're all talking it. We're all like, what's going on with those guys? We're all having fun over here. Even though things suck, we're still having fun. And they're over there like, like, wow. So they just gave that energy to that, like we've been talking about, that Archon demonic energy to those guys. They gave it to them. They're all angry. They hate Trump. So
Right.
you just gave all that hate to that side. Wouldn't you vote out of love? You love the D Party. You love it. You love all their ideas. And that's why you're voting for them. I don't know anybody like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're all angry.
So let's talk about, and by the way, guys, amazing. I'm looking at, I'm attempting to listen to you and look at the comments. The comments are coming in hot and heavy, and they're beautifully awakened, aware souls inside this group, man. You attract the most amazing people. So again, love to all of you guys. Let's talk about what Aurora said, which is so important. And again, you and I talk about this always, about sending love bubbles and being high vibration at all times. But, she really hit home with discussing about if you go to sleep at night watching Netflix or the mainstream news or any sort of archontic programming, guess what? They are implanting things into your consciousness that you are now taking with you in dream time, which is really awake time when you're sleeping. And you are consenting to their negative spells and their black, dark energy and everything else they do. So, let's talk a little bit about strategies and how important it is that when you go to bed and you wake up, you literally tell these shadow inverted dark force beings, whatever you want to call them, that they have no consent to infect you or to effect you in any capacity in your life. And you literally have to tell them that they are not wanted and that, again, they have no access and no right in your sovereign domain.
Yeah, absolutely. Just like I was talking about, like when I was in combat zones, it was very critical to stay high vibration. Now you can look at me and go, wow, Mike, you started a hand-to-hand program for the Navy SEAL teams. You're like an incredibly expert shot with any weapon you can pick up and have it like shooting expert within a few rounds. It's like, what that's more powerful, right? No, that love vibration is more powerful. And if you follow my work at all, you know that I remote viewed and kept my teams away from all those negative things were happening. I would remote influence so that those things stop happening in the places where I was at. This is way the future is going to be.
Right.
Like you, Jay, this morning I woke up, I'm like looking at Project Looking Glass, and I'm like the Looking Glass. I'm like, where's Jay going to be in the future? And I see you in the health industry, big time, med beds, all kinds of crazy stuff. In that realm, the space program, there is a consciousness that is very similar to our Constitution here in the United States. So that Constitution that we have in the United States came from the Iroquois Indians, who gave it to Ben Franklin, who brought it in and they, put it into, that's what our Constitution is. The Star Beings gave it to the Iroquois Indians. They even say it. Right. So the Star Beings have basically given us the outline for the perfect world, right? So I believe that same constitutional ideas, will be what this world is going to be like in the future very soon. So as we overcome these negative energies, as you go to sleep, keeping yourself safe in these higher vibrations, and as you awaken, you activate them again so that your day starts out, very beautifully.
Yeah.
And I also saw like Laura Eisenhower. So I'm like, I thought we were going to be working with her today, but I saw her like doing Tony Robbins, like, huge events, motivational speaker in the future. So, there's a lot of very positive things. And I see myself as a galactic guy, commander, and then eventually part of the galactic council. So there's going to be some amazing things that happen in the future. We have to keep our vibrations high. That is what creates this new world. That is what was like hijacked back in Atlantean times. So this time we win. And
Yeah,
we're gonna win so much we get tired of winning, right? No, not ever. I always will, go for the win. If I get stopped out, I'm going to go around, I'm going to go under, I'm going to go above, but I'm going to win some way, somehow. So that's the way you got to think. And as you know, that was the beauty of being a Navy SEAL and all the Special Forces guys. And that's why I'm very excited that Special Forces guys are going to start to win for us. That doesn't mean we kick back and wait for them to do all the work, because that's where a lot of people think, it's like,
100%.
who's going to bring us into this new world? Who's going to make these arrests? When are they going to happen? You get stuck on that stuff. Stay in a high vibration. That is what makes the difference.
Right. Exactly. I mean, that's a beautiful point. I was looking for a mantra that somebody sent me on Thursday, and I put it in our group, and there's just so many amazing information going through the group. It's impossible to keep up with it, but it's basically anyone can find mantras that are, protection mantras. And honestly, like I say this to every one of you guys, like I'll read one for everybody that I say at night when I go to bed, but it's so important to put these protection grids or mantras or prayers or invocations around you, not giving these beings consent. Because as you said, Michael, these beings are interdimensional. They are everywhere. We can't see them in our narrow third dimensional field of vision, but they're everywhere. They're like amoeboids. Again, these archons are literally like, amoeboid shapes in the fourth dimension that you can't, or the second dimension, whatever. You can't see them, but they're around you all the time. And as soon as you lower your vibration, as soon as you get angry or egoic, they can just latch onto you and feed onto you. I mean, think about it. Every time somebody, of course, you and I have talked about this before, but like you have road rage, somebody cuts you off and then they lock their brakes up on you. And you're like, dude, I mean, obviously where you and I are now, we don't care, but like, there's been times in our life where we'd be like, I'm going to get out of the car and I'm going to pull this dude through the car.
Oh, yeah.
And then I'm going to drive over him while he's laying in the road. Right. But it's like, you can't think like that. But the truth is that they're everywhere. And when you act that way, you're vulnerable. It's literally that simple. I want to read this. This is like my evening prayer. It's the last prayer I say right before I go to bed. It's basically called my before bedtime invocation. I say, dear God, angels and guides, I request to attend the most evolved place I may move to with my consciousness for the purpose of clarity about my mission, my purpose, and service to others. Let me learn and understand better what I need to achieve my fullest potential. Please assist me in any upgrades that may be possible and offer me your highest level of divine protection. Now that's in my phone. I'm happy to send that to anybody. I put that on Twitter before. I put that in my email newsletter. But I mean, again, there's hundreds, if not thousands of those things out there. Just, again, put it in your phone, set up a notification before you go to bed, before you put your phone outside of your room. So you're not having this EMF bombard you while you're sleeping. Mm-hmm. Say that invocation and go to bed. And again, you are now protected. You have basically provided that they have no consent to mess with you. Okay. But again, and Michael, and this is so critically important. And I know young people, even my daughters, I talk to this about them all the time, but young people today go to sleep with a phone in their face or their tablet or their iPad or whatever it is. And it's like, dude, you are literally opening a channel or a portal to energy, to dark energy. Because that's, as you know, I mean, we talk about all the time, toxic tech. Why do you think the demons control Silicon Valley? They control all the tech companies because it's the direct access point, Michael. Mm. So, I mean, I want you to comment, but I mean, like, it's so important that people put up protection around them.
Yeah. And that's a beautiful mantra. So the really crucial thing is, anyone listening to that probably felt a beautiful peace, that peace is what you want to be in all the time.
Right.
And that should be your goal, to always be in that kind of peace. So beautiful. We got Rock and Go says, poll here in Germany, nearly 90% voted for Trump. And Lisa DiChiera says, our egos will melt away more and more. And I believe that the ego basically, as it basically gets under control, and it allows that higher vibrational right brain. Because I work with a lot of Pleiadian women. A lot of people are starting to connect with their, because we came here and put our souls into Earth in a high 5D vibration. So it was like a melting pot, Andromedans, I'm from Series B, you have the Pleiadians, I mean, on and on and on. So there's a lot of us that came here basically to have this beautiful melting pot that's not anywhere else in our universe. All right. And so that was everyone's looking, to see how this turns out. But also what's going on is a massive battle out in the galaxy.
Right.
So there's a war going on out there that kind of matches what's going on here. So when you look at a bigger picture of things, we have the news is like negative, woe is me. There's a friggin' battle going on to help us out in space. Yeah. Massive. Yeah. We have huge galactic fleets out there. They're in a battle for, dominance over evil and good. So it's like, the heavens are, it's as above, so below. So it's going on right here. It's a huge battle, but we will win. We will win. And we're winning in space and we're going to win here. So the only way that happens is to have our vibrations high. Right. So that beatific, mantra that you talked about, the feeling that you get like that, I try and stay in that all the time. And when I feel myself getting pulled by something, hopefully I can stop it before it goes there. Sometimes I'm not so successful, but I would say a good 90% of the time now I'm in those beatific, vibrational fields of energy. 51%, you go along to 5D. Anything below 50% or below. And we know a lot of people are barely getting, a few percent because they're out there doing some crazy stuff. Like I just saw where this one woman dresses her daughter up in a Playboy bunny outfit. She's only like, I think I saw 8 or 9 years old or something crazy, and holds her down while she's molested. So there's some really dark energies out there. So those don't come along. They don't come along. That's not going to be in these higher dimensional realms. So a lot of these guys, these Archon demonic realm people at the 1% level are trying to influence us to go into that field of consciousness where we do things like that. So there has to be massive resistance. You have to stay in these higher, vibrational fields so that when you see something like that, it doesn't pull you all the way down into it and you get angry. Like you talk about, I used to get like that too. That was one of my trigger points, people doing stupid. But the thing that helped me overcome that was going into combat zones and driving around with, CIA, case officers in the back with their, the terrorist informant. And I can't do roid rage because everything's got to be quiet and cool, Yeah. So I get people cutting me off and donkey carts, getting in front of me and all kind of crazy, stupid stuff. But I got my cool and I learned a lot there. So, whatever is going to help you overcome that suck factor, that's where you want to focus. And every time you feel yourself getting pulled there, you go, oh, almost got pulled there, but I stopped it. I'm getting better. And then you get to the point where it doesn't pull you whatsoever. So
beautiful, dude. I mean, I'll give credit to my wife, Monica. I remember it was probably like back when we were first together back in like 2012 or 2013. And I just acted like an absolute fool, and somebody cut me off and she just was so like mad at me and so angry. And I was like, what? You don't want me to do anything? Because whatever the guy did, it was insane. Right. And she was like, dude, you're like a child. How can you not recognize that behavior is like a 4-year-old having a temper tantrum? I don't care. You're not impressing me that you could go beat him up or that might makes right, and like that, I looked at that and I was like, wow, my whole life. Right. I mean, I was probably like 41 or 42. This is like, 8 or 9 years ago.
Oh yeah.
And I've been doing that shit my whole life, bro. It's just stupid. And I know where I learned it from. It's just the whole machismo, alpha male, you're not going to take shit. But it's just like, that it was just, wow, and since then, I don't know if I've ever even had a road rage moment. Now I just laugh and be like, okay, just like look at them, send them love, of course, now too, but it's so important to not drop our vibrational frequency into dissonance and victimhood. And it's, as you said, there's so many of those beings right now. And to another point, I don't want to forget before we end the show is, Aurora said that it's inevitable, as you just said, to echo what you just said, for more proof that the light has won, and that, again, that cosmic energy is voiding the dark. Mm-hmm. And so the dark now is in their death throes. This is their death spiral. This is why they're out there doing this. The media, they're all in. They've doubled down. All bets are on the table. They got nothing left except a little bit of time. And so, Michael, you're so right. We don't fall into their traps. You don't go and attack them. You don't go to family get-togethers of people who are blue checks and get into debates with them or argue with them. It's just, like you said, neutrally observe, send people love, stay in resonance, read, be calm, be cool, be collective, be creative, be courageous. Don't run out looking for the fight. And again, I'm not saying this to people that I love and that, are up here with us, but there are a lot of people out there looking for the fight still. Right. Mm-hmm. And now it may come down to, again, if, the tribulation is real, that the war in heaven reaches earth and we all have to pick up arms, but we're not there yet. So it's like, choose your battles. But right now, like you said, maintain resonance, stay in the love light, and don't be sucked into the vibrational fields of darkness.
Yeah. And we're going to see, a lot of this play out here coming in the next couple of months, where they're going to blast us with, all of the negativity that's going to start to come down when we overturn this attempt to control our consciousness and our freedom. So once that turns around on its head, they have plan B, plan C. They have a lot of plans. These guys are, they mapped this stuff out really well, and they probably mapped it out like this 20 years ago. So it's all in place. They have, legions ready to step forward and sacrifice themselves, like we're going to see. So you have to be very, cognizant of your consciousness and not get dragged into it, because this is going to drag you into, 3D for another 25,000 year cycle.
Right. That's
I'm done with reincarnation. I'm done reincarnating here. Right. So I know what's going to happen if I don't keep my vibration high. So it's very, very crucial going forward. Good day, you guys in Australia. So yeah, it's going to be very important, for all of us to, work together all over the world, because that light, that consciousness makes a difference wherever you're at. Just like, we keep talking about, you can have like one or two or, handful of people that are super high vibration, and it just raises the consciousness. Entire group, we see it at, we go to concerts and stuff like that. You got a group of people on the stage, and you got tens of thousands of people that are just like having a great time. Just a small group of people can have that effect. Like us talking right now. It's going to affect, tens and tens of thousands of people over the course of the next several days. And people will be enlightened and feel good and have these higher consciousness realms, activated. The love vibration, we're talking about the love vibration, and you're like, oh, I have that problem in my life. I'm going to work on that. So I want to be, the higher percentage in the love vibrational field. So that's what we're going to see going forward. We'll see eventually on the other side of this in January. So I see, let's go deep a little bit. Yeah. I see on the other side of January where we're starting to go into 5D at a rapid, more and more rapid pace. We're going to start to leave 3D behind, and those that are still trapped here in 3D don't come.
Right.
So these lower consciousness beings. So I and some other of us will actually, and I see myself in like this, like stretch, like material, like a, You know how we see the superheroes,
Right.
how they have those suits
Yep.
where everything's like, tight, and they're like, oh, look at that. It's like the muscles and everything.
Right.
I see myself actually wearing that and coming back and trying to help a few people. So that superhero thing might not be that far off.
Yeah. The meta-human. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So some of us I see coming back, and because there's going to be a little bit of a window left still where people can come along into 5D, and then it closes. So some of us come back and pull a few people that are right on the edge of consciousness and help them. Not everybody's going to, we're not going to be able to convince everybody. Some people will come. I've seen that, and I see portals. See one in Sedona, see one in a couple other places throughout the world where some of us can come back and actually help people, go to 5D.
Yeah.
So crazy stuff. When I started doing remote viewing, I was seeing stuff, and it was playing out. And then I was like, I'm actually seeing this stuff. I need to start sharing it, So I'm in that point now again, where it's like right on the edge. I'm right on the edge of some consciousness things that need to come out. We're sharing these things and they need to come out. People need to see that we're going into some levels of consciousness that are like hard to describe and believe, but you need to open yourself up to them, because if you resist them, you don't come that way as well. You're like, oh, I don't want to go. So that's part of that superhero thing where some of us come back to, hey, we're in 5D now. You want to come, or you want to stay here in 3D and do another 25,000 year cycle?
Mike, to your point on that, let me just say something about that, because it's so important. I already know that you're right, because when I deeply go into the sunlight with my dog and I'm completely silent, I literally have felt my body, my spiritual side leave physical. And I'm like moving like, 20 or 30 feet above, and I'm like looking down, and I'm like, like, what is going on? I didn't attempt this. I'm not trying to astral project. So you're right. Like, our spirit is getting out of this physical, heavy, dense matter as soon as we allow it to do that. And again, how are you going to do that? Well, you're going to do that by silencing your mind, getting into stillness. Again, one of the bullet points, we can end with this, and then we can talk about like what you and I are going to do, is getting into the idea of, you have to have a pure, open heart to really discern truth. Mm-hmm. If your heart is blocked, again, the B supporters and, the dark ones, there's no way what truth is. You're just literally like shrieking and screaming and going from one end, to the other end. Again, always staying down here in that like hive mind vibration. But it's like, you will become very awakened and aware to what truth is as soon as you start working on your inner game. And again, it can be mindfulness. It can be meditation. I mean, as you know, Michael, and you live really close, to the great, national forests of Northern California and Nevada. But it's like, if you're in a big city, you just got to get out into a field. You just got to touch the ground, and you have to ground in the earth and, soil of Mother Earth. And you will connect with God, because that's all God is. It's the energy and frequency of creation. It's literally that simple. You don't have to go far. You don't have to, hike into the National Forest of California or the Adirondacks of New York or anything like that. You just have to connect with nature. But once you do, and be silent, again, people get all caught up. I can't meditate, bro. I can't turn my mind off. All you have to do is go into nature, close your eyes, and not think about anything, or focus on something that you're not thinking about. And you will start feeling the energies that Michael's talking about, because that fifth dimensional frequency is all around us right now. And you absolutely can feel it. But again, you have to attempt to go there. It's, again, doing the work.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Kind of looking at some of the comments and scroll through, and somebody was asking if William Shatner's going to be there. It's like, dun, 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 dun. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, he's going to be there. I mean, we're all going to be there. We're going to have a lot of fun. But so what is 5D? Somebody asked that also. 5D is a vibratory field. So think of like just what Jay was talking about. Get out in the field, get out in nature. Those feelings you get like when you walk along the beach, you're hand in hand with your loved ones or whatever. that feeling that you're getting in those times, that's 5D.
Right.
Think of the times where you're angry, like Jay and I were talking about driving when stupid people cut you off, or you look at the news and they're saying Biden won. It's like, no, he didn't. It's like, so you get hooked on that. That's 3D. So the beatific points where you're having love for your family and just like, oh, it's just so beautiful. 5D. All right. So that's 5D. It's that simple. Don't make it harder than what it is.
Right.
Right. And as we move into these frequencies, we have 4D, basically negative up to Christ consciousness. And then on the other side of that is 5D. So those consciousness fields are basically impacting a lot of people, not as many as they used to, because throughout since the fall of Atlantis, the percentage of people that are more in the Christ consciousness has risen and risen and risen to the point now where they're desperate to try and maintain control here, and they're losing their grip, and they will lose their grip very soon.
Are you okay to
that
do
doesn't
about
mean you
20
kick
minutes?
back and go, oh, well, I can just, kick back, eat potato chips and watch, Netflix and the news, and it's not going to affect me because somebody's out there doing the work. No,
Right.
we all have to do the work.
Are you okay to take some questions right now?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
because we got so many people watching. I saw one that went by, and I want you to answer this because it's a great question. It was a woman. I'm sorry, I forgot your name. Again, thank you to all you beautiful souls for watching this and listening. She said, what do I do? My husband and my daughter are Biden supporters, and I am trapped. Now, before you answer, our good friend Rebecca Shaw said in our group the other day, she says, my daughter, my 20-year-old daughter, this was so, Monica and I read this and we were like, oh my God. But she said, my 20-year-old daughter is making me wear a mask around her. So I was thinking like, wow, what would you do? Thankfully I'm not in that position, but Michael, what do you do for those that are watching and are really resonating to this statement right now, because they are surrounded by these, lower vibrational family members and friends? Like, what do you tell a person like that who has a husband and a daughter, or even to Rebecca, whose daughter is obviously in fear? Because that's what that is, right? Wearing a mask is pure fear. So what do you say?
This is where your warrior side comes out. You have to be a warrior of the light, and you have to have boundaries. All right. There's love, and you have to love yourself as well. So you're going to make these boundaries. You don't want to get it to the point where you have to get physical or anything, but you're like, I don't believe in that. I commiserate with you that you feel you have to wear a mask, or that you support this group that I feel is like complete evil. But I believe this is the way things are going to go in the future. And then you just, you maintain that, and, watch how they are. If they attack you, I have loved a lot of family members from a distance. It's like, they're going to go bye-bye in my life if they're that bad.
Right.
So I'm sorry to say it. Some people out there are like, I will never leave my daughter behind. Okay, go through another 25,000 years.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So and that's a choice people will probably make. Unfortunately,
Dissonance or resonance
to that. So you have to be a warrior. You have to be a warrior of light, and you have to lay down boundaries. It's like, I'm not going to do that in my own house, And so if you don't agree with that, don't come around. Or if you're living here, then go find another place to live, whatever. You're going to have to get tough going forward.
So two really good questions I want you to answer that just came through that, the elderly, they're all wearing masks. They're all brainwashed. They're all in fear. Not all the elderly are, obviously. Again, there's outliers, but the majority of them, as we know, Michael, watch the mainstream news. They're watching CNN or Fox or MSNBC. And so it's pure fear mongering. But what do you say to them? The question as it was she said, are they all done too? Are they going to reboot for 25,000 years because they're in just the pure fear zone? What do you think of that for them?
Yeah. Probably. So, I was up in Mount Shasta. I went in a crystal shop. The woman that owned the shop was like, mask off. And she was talking to me and Tracy, and she's like, take your mask off.
Right.
I
So beautiful.
don't want to deal with you if you got your mask on. So we're like, oh, you're my kind of woman, and she's elderly, so there are people that are high vibration that know it and stay with it and don't compromise. So
Beautiful.
you can compromise if you want, because there are other people in a shop wearing masks, even though we're walking around with no mask on. So it's a total choice. You know, you can be in that vibration and play with that vibration, but you're probably going to get hooked by it.
Right.
You have to be aware of that.
Michael,
you have to wear a mask to go in some places.
Right. I was just,
You can't shop, you can't get food. I put it on, it's off as soon as I'm, done. But
exactly.
So
I pull it down below my nose.
Sometimes I play that game too. Or if I'm like, if I'm drinking something, or, I'm drinking something, so I can't wear a mask when I'm drinking something, all these different things, you can play with it and people are going to give you somewhat of a pass. So, and that, I'm like, sometimes you got to play along with stupid.
Yeah. So Angela Black just said, I'm not sure we can help the brainwashed. You can't. All we're doing is sharing our wisdom, sharing our resonant energy, putting out love and light into the ether. And if they do not assimilate, the Borg assimilate, but if they do not assimilate the positive love, light energy, that's a choice, right, Michael? I mean, everything I put out, resonance or dissonance, you get to choose. You choose here or you choose here. It's literally that simple.
Yeah, it is, unfortunately. So some people, are captured by that. And if we can help them by, maintaining a certain vibration, that'll, sometimes jiggy them loose, and they're like, why don't you ever wear a mask? Because it's like, your information that you released, what we say, you got hundreds of thousands of views on your stuff on the mask.
Yeah. And that mask article is read by 1 million people plus.
Well, 1 million. Wow. Plus. Yeah. So there you go. Jay's information on the mask. I remember when that first came out, I was like, this is brilliant. Wow. All the work you put in that, just unbelievable, scientific based. So you can go with the negative scientists. Like, did you see the latest on Fauci? Yep. He says, even if you do get the vaccine, you're still going to have to distance and wear the mask. Is that where you want to go, guys?
It's insane.
So you're vaccinated. It's like, I told you, we're never going back in their world. We're never going back. They captured a percentage of us, and they are never going back. They're never going back to where it was.
By the way, I just put the link to that article, everybody. And that, as Michael said, by the way, thank you, brother. That was written in June, and that was me and my copywriter, and it has all the science. It's a 10,600 word article. And it was proven then that masks are a joke. And as you know, Michael, they're coming out now, like en masse, saying that masks actually make you worse.
Oh, yeah.
Because they trap virus and germs and, pathogenically create a worse breeding situation for worse things to grow. It's literally insane. And again, it goes back to reptilian souled conscious beings who want to see us harmed, to want to us be in fear so that, they can feed off of our etheric energy.
Yeah. Now there are some countries that, don't have masks. Like I have a friend that airline stewardess went to Turkey, spent some time over there, no masks. And even though she's an airline stewardess and she has to wear the mask, unfortunately, she had to wear the mask all the way back, And she said for like a day and a half to 2 days, she was just sick, had to stay in bed, from wearing her own mask. So it definitely, you're rebreathing, your body's constantly trying to off gas bacteria. It's just the way it is. So then all the like stupid people are like, see, it's like, okay, yeah, keep wearing your mask. But, it's, we didn't used to do that, guys, and everything was cool. Right. And people survived, but now it's like a big threat, right? So it's insane. People are hooked on stupid. I promise.
By the way, that's stuck on stupid. The comment ever.
They're hooked on this negative agenda that's has captured their consciousness. So it's unfortunate. It's for those of us that are awake, we can see it so easily, but for a lot of people, they're not going to come along. So yeah, Angela. Great question. Thanks.
Yeah, there's awesome questions coming in and out. Are you okay to keep taking a couple questions, go to like 10 more minutes?
Yeah, absolutely.
So guys, let me just say real quick, and then we'll answer some more questions. So Michael and I have decided that we are going to do a premium membership only program. And, obviously outside of us talking about these amazing things, we're also going to talk about our super ninja tactic and powers, like optimization, health optimization, remote viewing, unleashing intuition, all the things that Michael and I are like, have super ninja powers. We are basically going to create a group that's going to be membership only. And before people say, Jay and Michael, you guys give away so much free information, how can you ask for people to pay for it? Well, let's be honest. And Michael, this, all these platforms, Michael and I could wake up tomorrow and his YouTube channel could be gone. Okay. Right now they are blocking my YouTube channel horrendously. And I don't even know why. I don't even like have as many people as Michael has. So it's probably the algorithm heard something. It's probably that demon video that I did. Who knows? Right. Cause I'm like putting them out there, but at the end of the day, we want to attract as many people to our tribe as possible. Okay. And we want people to have access to us in a private way, where Michael and I can speak freely and not have to risk censorship. Laura was talking about that yesterday or 2 days ago with Aurora, and, they were talking in code, and it's just absurd. So anyway, I won't say much more about it. Michael and I will talk more about this in the next week to our lists, to our groups, to everybody who pays attention to us. But we plan on launching this before this year is over. And obviously it's in planning stages right now, but it'll probably be something like where Michael and I have like one live audience where you can talk to us and ask us questions a week, so 4 times a month. And then we'll have like levels where you can buy into the membership, where you get access to me and Michael's other stuff, that we do from personal coaching and stuff like that. But it's just something that him and I have figured we should do because we have this amazing energy and connection with one another. And we attract so many amazing people. So if you're interested, again, there's no sales page, there's no email list or anything created right now. This is just something that him and I have been talking about for the last week, but I am building it, and we will have something to talk about probably in the next week. So I wanted to put that out there to you guys. So we appreciate you guys. Hopefully a lot of you guys will join it. I promise you the information will be insane.
Oh God. Yeah. Yeah. Like you said, we'll be able to talk on a different level. And we'll have an audience that's obviously connected because they're willing to pay, to get them come in. It's energy exchange. So I remember the guys in the consciousness field, when I started coming in, it was always you didn't pay for something. It was an energy exchange. So we're basically going to give you some super high tech energy that's going to take you to different levels of consciousness, kind of like what we do now. But it's going to be on an even greater level. So
we'll be allowed to talk freely, Michael. I mean, you and I can't say certain things right now because we don't know who's monitoring. And again, we could lose our channel tomorrow. Yep. It's literally that simple. So anyway, there'll be more information. I'm probably going to send out an email to my list tomorrow. So by the way, if you guys are not signed up to my list, I think probably a majority of you are, but it's join. I'm putting it in there right now. It's joinjccampbell.com. It's free. You get my email. We send out awesome emails. Michael's on it. A lot of people are on it probably already, but I'll be announcing more stuff tomorrow. But dude, honestly, as I always say, man, it's a humble privilege for me to be able to work with you. Like we talk about all the time. We definitely have worked many incarnations together. We have been in
incarnations. Yeah. We've been warriors together. Some pretty badass lifetimes, but and a lot of you out there are connected on that too, as I'm finding out. So it's pretty cool that we're all attracted together as a group once again, because we've been fighting these negative types for many lifetimes, guys, thousands of years. So this is the jump point. So a lot of us are on board. A lot of us want to get the information. It's going to, get us to that point easier. Some people are going to just drag across the finish line, and some of us are going to dance across the finish line. Which do you want? So we're going to help you get there, and it's going to be beautiful.
Yeah, beautiful. Do you see any other questions you wanted to answer? I'm trying to monitor it. Everybody's mostly just commenting. It's like the movie.
There were a lot of people in the DC March that said it was peaceful.
Yeah.
There was a couple instances that people talked about. One guy that I looked at this morning, very interesting guy. He was talking about how the BLM and Antifa were out in force in some of the areas where he saw people just, after the march, they're in restaurants and stuff, and they're like yelling at them right in their face while they're trying to like enjoy their dinner. It's like that's imposition on freedoms right there. So,
but they're all cowards, Michael. They're all cowards. They don't come
yeah.
up to actual patriots. They wait until families are walking home by themselves, and then like flies to you know what, they're like buzzing around them, making comments, throwing sucker shots. I mean, it's stupid.
Oh yeah. I saw an elderly gentleman that they're like, harassing, throwing water on him and, yelling at him, screaming at him, telling him he better get out of there. And he's in their group. It's like, so you can't walk freely on the streets that were created by taxpayer money. So a lot of these guys are, like I've been saying, they're about to get wrapped up. It's going to go down. It's going to be ugly. And there's a lot of these guys, they're violent. They've been infiltrated and trained overseas. We talk about this in terrorist zones. They had terrorists that are infiltrated in with them, live, real bad terrorists that are in with these guys. And Trump was not off at all when he called them terrorist organizations. So that is going to be disclosed very soon. So, you had to see it. So anyway, this guy's saying that the Proud Boys, and the Proud Boys are like the guardian angel. He described them because he grew up in New York, in the Bronx and areas like that, where they had guardian angels.
Yep.
That badass guys and women that would form up and keep people safe while they rode the subways.
Yep.
And he said these guys are very much like that, Proud Boys. Now, I have been in peaceful I volunteer my services on occasion to help peaceful organizations that are trying to, help leftists, walk away from their corrupted consciousness.
Yeah.
And I've kept them safe. Your presence, a lot of times, will keep, like you said, these guys are cowards. They prey on what they see as weak people that can't protect themselves, the elderly, and like you described, families. Horrific that they would do that and get away with it. Yeah. I even saw where a guy was in a wheelchair and this guy was like swinging a chain around, and he's like, "What are you gonna do with that chain?" This guy's a badass. He said, "See these arms? I will whoop your ass." So like trying to get this guy to start something. And sure enough, he came in and swung the chain at him. He dodged it. And then you see these two big policemen come up and tackle this guy. But you could see the guy's demonic.
Of course.
See it in his eyes. Demonically possessed.
Yep.
Bad stuff.
I'm just commenting to people right now.
Cowards and bullies. Absolutely.
That's all they are. Dude. That's literally all they are. I mean, it's, again, it's the energy of pain. It's not the energy of courage. It's not the energy of chivalry. It's not the energy of power. It's force, and it's hatred, and it's like, again, victim. It's the victimhood energy. I mean, think about it. I mean, when I say this to people and they get like, offended, it's like everyone who voted for Joe Biden, and again, we know there weren't that many, but the ones that did, they voted for him because they see Donald Trump as a successful person, and they're like, I'm voting for the loser. I'm voting for the person that is literally like me. A victim. It's incredible that there are that many people out there that hate themselves or have, as you said, Michael, many times, trauma that they have been unable to either admit and inevitably overcome, right? Because all it is about integrating your trauma. We've all been traumatized, but so many people just deal with being traumatized by voting for the guy who isn't the successful person, or choosing, again, as you said earlier in the show, to be a crab in a bucket. Everybody is like, I'm going to pull myself down with everybody else because I'm a victim. I'm not going to be for the guy who's actually doing something. I mean, again, it's insanity how successful Trump historically was as a president, that they made him out to be orange man bad. It's just incredible how dissonant people are. They can't see the forest through the trees.
Right. So I got a question I want to jump on, Jay. It's Mary Woods asking, November 22nd is the anniversary of President Kennedy's assassination. Any remote viewing sense about what might happen this year, November 22nd? So to counter the negativity of that day. So that will be like a week from today. So I think there's a very strong possibility that some of these states that have been manipulated are going to start to turn, and Biden's going to lose his lead.
I think so too. I think
they being the deep state always like to take these dates and turn them into a big negative. That's a good one, Mary. So I see that as a possibility. So if we see Biden lose his lead next week, they could very, very conceivably use that day as a huge negative rally day where they'll start off, because I see it. A lot of other remote viewers have seen these guys firing up our cities, guys. So it's going to happen. It's unfortunately.
I saw that one comment. Did you want to talk about there's really nothing you and I could probably say, but I mean, as you know, they're starting up the second wave again, right? And they're closing all sorts of places in the Northeast and, shutting people down. I mean, that's the thing that blows my mind is that who would vote for a president whose literally game plan is to destroy the economy, to destroy the world, to destroy your livelihood, to shut you as a human being down from your livelihood, whatever it is you do, whatever you sell, whatever you make, whatever you show up to. I mean, literally, they want to shut down the United States, Michael. That's what their plan is.
Yeah, they're doing a pretty good job of it. So they did it before. Remember, it was just 2 weeks, and then it turned into months. Now it's turned into forever.
Yeah, right.
Like Fauci is saying, doesn't matter if you get the vaccine, you're going to still have to wear the mask and social distance. So I was saying when I saw how hard they locked down Australia, I said, that's coming, guys. That basically with Australians, because they're very freedom-loving, independent people, but they took advantage of their goodness, So there's still a lot of people like that in the United States that are good people. And then, of course, there's some that are easily manipulated consciousness-wise, as we're seeing, we were talking about. So it's starting. So that type of lockdown that you saw in Melbourne, Australia, and in New Zealand, that's coming. I said that when they were going through that. I said, that's coming. That's coming to America because they're practicing right now.
Yep. That's kind of where we're at. Yep.
Yep.
All right, brother. Well, let's shut it down. Well, I mean, you guys, amazing. I mean, to have this many people, I didn't say this to you. I want to tell you this just so you know, and everybody listening is fine too. But I spoke to a YouTube person who no longer works for YouTube, but worked at a very high level for YouTube for 5 years in the algorithm department. And he told me that, and it was same thing as again today. He says that if you guys don't have over 100,000 impressions tomorrow from this broadcast, when you have this many people, because we had almost 1,700 people live, they are blocking and censoring and suppressing the actual impressions that you're generating, because he says that they knew when he was in the company that when they had 1,200 people simultaneously watching View, that would generate over 150,000 impressions within a 48-hour period. So I remember the one you and I did a week ago when we had almost as many as today, or maybe even more. I don't remember what the number was. He said the next day you should have over 140, and we had 14,000. So he was like, yeah, add some zeros to that. So that's, again, what YouTube's algorithm is doing. So we actually have way more people watching this and viewing it, obviously, from an impression standpoint than we're being shown. So again, dude, again, to all of you guys, thank you guys. Massive love and light sent. But Michael and I are really putting a dent in the ether. There are a lot of you following us and vibrating with this energy and this resonant field. So just continue to take it across the world right now. Again, be love, be light, be high vibration, serve everyone. Don't get into fights. Don't start arguments with people who are in the B, vibration. Stay in the positive, organic love light timeline. And as you said, Michael, it's going to work out. It's absolutely
going to work out wonderfully. And at times 333 while you're talking, that's beautiful. An angelic number in there as well. So awesome. Those triple numbers like that are always good. Whenever you're talking something like this, is basically angelic realm is like, yeah, what he's saying. That's good. So if you want to get hold of Jay, I'm going to put his information in the description box. If you want to get hold of my courses, that's going to be in the description box, the Unleashing Intuition courses. and also the EMF harmonizer information is down there. Next week sometime, I'm getting a shipment of brand new EMF harmonizer,
Nice.
little pads to put on. And the guy that runs the company, Lance, is going to come on. We're going to talk again. So that'll be fun, because they have a lot of new stuff that they just came out with. So EMF fields, very important. So consciousness, like we talk about, super, super important going forward.
Beautiful.
Jay, my brother, I love you. And thank
You
you
too,
for joining me. Look forward to, having Laura join us. We'll be the pillars on either side of her.
Yeah.
Keep her up and protected.
For sure.
Hopefully she can work through her issues right now. It's unfortunate. So send Laura some love, guys, and just keep pushing that love out there. Stay in love vibration, like Jay was just talking about. And that is the wave of the future.
Yep. Thank you guys for you guys watching today. Appreciate you guys. Obviously, Michael and I are going to be doing much more work together. So be on the lookout.